But
And I swear to, I'm going to state for the record again that the rock and roll one from last week was totally off the cuff. I even forgot the guy's name. Sam Roberts. Yeah, that
You
Sam
practice
Roberts
these.
one was off the top of my head. Great moments in this podcast's history. Just pulled it out of the air.
We're having a year-end show. This means a year-end show. You're gonna go back and clip all the good ones. And you're gonna make a montage set to some sort of techno music or something. I don't
No,
know.
I just set it to Sam Roberts.
Even better.
To be clear, if Sam Roberts is listening, I'd love to have him on the show. Fan of the music. Just the beer, not to my taste. On with the show. The kids are asleep. The adult beverages are poured. It is time for New Dad Gaming, a show about fatherhood, gaming, and new fathers figuring out their gaming lives. My name is Trevor, and I have a 1-year-old.
My name is Gavin, and I have a 1-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have a 3-year-old, and my 6-year-old's away this week. Yay.
Only have a 3. Like as a trial run of...
A trial run?
What would happen if we only
College?
had one?
Yeah, it kind of is. It's great. Grocery bill was a lot lower. You got to go to dinner.
Oof.
I don't know. We're living a life. It's great.
So, care to elaborate why he's missing currently? Or?
Well, he's missing. No. He's at grandma camp. So he's at grandma's for a week. That was part of the deal for summer. He's been in camps like every week, from soccer camp to taekwondo camp to Lego camp to all these other things. So he spent a week with my wife's mom, and then now it's my mom. So he's up there. It's great having one kid, I'll tell you. Wow, it is a change. Personalities changed, like just between my wife and I. We're like,
We're
happier,
happy.
more time.
We lost like 10 pounds.
Even my 3-year-old, he's just a different person. Because now he can talk. My 6-year-old talks a lot, and people, kind of roll their eyes. You're like, yeah, he talks, whatever. But then they actually meet him, and he talks. That's all he does. So it's quiet. 7 o'clock. My son's down.
He's not a subscriber to the show, is he?
He will be in future years, right? When he sees the Trevor montage, he'll clue in.
He's gonna say he's gonna watch this show, and it's like, hey, what's that?
You made fun of me 18 years ago.
You told me I was the apple of your eye. Sometimes.
Yeah. No, it's good to have a little break. It's the less stress of 2. I don't know. But it's kind of like
You're really selling Trevor and I on the second one.
Yeah.
The second one's totally good. There's 2 of you and 2 of them. Nothing can go wrong.
Doesn't even the odds at all.
Yeah.
You can totally get rid of him sometimes with grandma camp. So what's driving the camp onrush? Is it you guys wanting them to experience a lot? Like, is he asking for all these camps, or like why so many?
Well, we have nowhere else to put him, right? So you have to put him in something.
Gotta do something.
Like, he's in school, and we're out of the days of one can stay home, so you put him in camp, and I didn't want to put him in. So you go through this process in June. You say, what do you want to do this summer? And the kid doesn't know, so you suggest things. But if he doesn't like that camp on week 1 and you sign him up for the 6 weeks of summer, good luck. Like, at least with every week where it changes, it might be a good week, it might be a bad week, but there's only 5 days of it, so you just move on. You just bite the bullet. Because there's been some camps where he's gone kicking and screaming, saying, I don't want to go, it's boring, whatever. But he'll tell you the next year, I love that camp. That was my number 1 camp. I want to go back. Kids don't know what they want. They're kids.
Kids
No
are
idea.
dumb.
It's stupid. They'll work for ice cream. That's all they'll do. Ice cream on Fridays and just be good. So
Yeah. I remember
get a variety, right? Like, I remember as a kid, I would stay home with my mom and chill with my friends on the street, and then we just, I don't know, run down the forest.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, we had like camp crabapple tag.
Yeah.
You know.
Super soaker tag. Go out there
Yeah.
with it. Yeah. You
What'd
just
you
came
do
home for
today?
dinner. That
I
was it.
got shoved down the hill on a wagon. Okay.
So
Wash
I
your hands
remember
before
the
dinner.
so we had a cottage growing up, and our water was rocky. So the make work activity my parents would have is that they would send you to the bay, and they gave the guys like, oh, we're going to try to get rid of the rocks and make it sandy. So if you throw 100 rocks out of the water onto the side, you earn $1, right? So
Wow. Penny a rock.
yeah, so of course, and like and the best part is then you would take that dollar, that shiny dollar, and you would bike for an hour to the closest grocery store where we could then
Wow.
proceed to buy candy. So like it's perfect for the kid because your kid's in the water just like hauling rocks for an hour for $1,
Yeah.
and then they're gone biking for like, by the time they get back from that, like sure we got some sugar high, but we're exhausted.
Exhausted. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Wow.
And there is no sand in that lake, by the way. Like it is just it is
It was
infinite
rock.
rock. So
Good
So
on your parents.
essentially,
Wow.
your summers was Camp Chain Gang.
They all whistled when they did it.
yeah,
Yeah.
without the songs, I don't think there's any coordination.
Yeah.
Wow. No, it's
And I think the chain gangs like accomplish something too. Like don't they make like usable fields or like build an actual railway? Like we did
Yeah.
nothing.
No.
like
nothing.
an activity of nothing for dollars.
And erosion would just bring back more rocks the next year.
Oh, it's just like the lake freezes over and just pushes
Oh, there you
infinite more rocks. You are not gonna get rid of rocks. So
go.
the yeah the so I'm curious. Like so we had of course last week we had our groundbreaking exclusive interview with Gavin, game designer, with
Mhm.
his first release. So Gavin, now it's been an extra week of your game being out, or the game you worked on, perhaps might be the better way to say it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I
what's
can't. Mine now. Mine.
I made this.
So what's the what's the experience? Well, how's it been again as the reviews and kind of the dust settles on it being live?
Good. Good. We're seeing more and more reviews coming out. More and more people really enjoying it. Just not just Twitter buzz either, but like actual published reviews and that. We're seeing people starting to get the overall point of the game. I think some of the other reviews that we had earlier on, there was a few people who might have been looking at the game as a different type of game than it actually was, and then trying to maybe assess it on those merits as opposed to the actual uh, goal of the game and what it was setting out to do. And people are starting to get that now, which is feeling really great. Especially for Ben being able to sort of see that because he put so much work into the writing, to see people starting to appreciate the narrative component of it as opposed to just trying to whiz through it to get to the next puzzle, which is a very common way of playing games nowadays. And now it's like, no, 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 this game is about stopping and smelling the roses. It's not about vaulting over them to get to the next objective. So we're starting to see a little bit more of people getting to that. And I'm hoping that the people who might have played it and played it with a different sort of sense of objective in mind um, would maybe want to give it another shot after reading some of these other reviews. Not as much to amend like their score for our own benefit, but more so just for their own enjoyment. It's like, hey, like try it again, but think of it this way, and see if you like it then, and how about instead of treating The Shining as a rom com, maybe watch it again, but think of it as like a suspenseful horror movie, and maybe it will resonate more with you. Um, so yeah, we're starting to see a little bit of that, and it's really exciting. And I'm still getting. This is one of the first times that I've had a substantial amount of my work get reviewed in the public forum, so that's kind of been fun to see. Definitely majority of my career has been a lot of just like work that gets out there, but it's more for educational publications or marketing materials or storyboarding. Like, I'll see the commercial I storyboard on TV, and then but I'm like nobody knows because you never even see the boards; you just see the end result. So, and even then, like it's a TV commercial. Like it's to advertise a product, not the person who made the commercial for the product. So um, yeah, it's really interesting to see something that's like a collaborative effort with a really talented team um, being enjoyed by people, and that's kind of like why uh, you know these endeavors are usually started in the first place. Is they want to make something that people are going to sit and really be able to derive some enjoyment from, and hopefully have a little moment of fun in their day. And if you can have a hand in that, that's a pretty exciting thing. So it's been fun. There's been a few really flattering tweets and stuff that I've seen that have kind of made me get the warm and fuzzies. So that's always good too. But yeah, it's been fantastic. I've been really really happy with the reception, and I'm really really proud of the work I got to do, and really proud to be part of such a project. The fact that I got brought on, it's fantastic. I couldn't be more grateful for that opportunity. So I'm happy
Nice.
that it's at least they're not like, what's all this pixel art junk? Who did they hire for that?
Great
So
game, but looks like garbage.
What palette? Ugh.
So have you had any urge to hop online and try to defend it, or to counter rage any comments that have come up, or have you kind of been able to
no,
detach yourself from it?
No, I've been able to kind of just like if I see a point, and it's like I'll either look at it, and if it's a criticism on the product, I'll read it and be like, okay, is this a valid criticism, or is this just a personal opinion? And if it's a personal opinion, I don't agree with it, then it's like, all right, well, fair enough. Like they're entitled to have that opinion, but I'm entitled to just scroll on by. You know, I don't really feel like I need to be taking up you know a glistening sword of truth and try to rectify these things, because also like I have an opinion that's going to differ from them, especially because it's a somewhat biased one.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't really feel any need to defend it, because I'm also like I'm really confident in the work that we did on the game. So I find that that's not like any criticism that I see that there are some that I look at and I'm like, okay, that's a valid point, fair enough, I could see how you would feel that way. Um, but any ones like that where I'm like, okay, yeah, that one's just something where it's like, yeah, that maybe no, but oh well. Like I still stand by the work, so you know, feel free to feel that way if you wish. That's cool. I'm sorry you didn't enjoy it, but yeah, oh well. Like I'm not
I
gonna go back and redo it.
I'll step in for a bit, and I said I've played the game, so I'm still playing it. I haven't beaten it yet, but I will say one cool part that got me all nostalgic
Okay.
was in the game. There's
Three
not a
three dads who do a podcast.
yeah, there's like a night cycle. Like they power down to the station, and you have to go into the holodeck or whatever it's called.
Hmm.
So all the power shut off, and when you walk your character through the hallways, there's like these sound effects that are so close to like Super Metroid. Like they
Yeah.
remind me of the first um, like planet you land on in Super Metroid, and just like
Yeah.
weird creatures or something in the background, like banging of metal, and it
Yeah.
just sent me back a bit. So it was cool. I don't know. It's just
Awesome.
and it
I'll be
just
sure to
evoked
let
that.
I'm gonna let the sound designer know that, because
Yeah.
he'll get a kick out of hearing that. There was actually some really fun Foley work that he did too for some of the sound effects, or I'm just like, oh, that's the sound. Oh, that's cool. So it the yeah Ivor did the audio. Like his stuff was really really solid. Like not just the music, but just the atmosphere that
Yeah.
he was able to. I every time that I would be drawing an environment and just kind of thinking in my head, like, how would I want it to, what sort of feelings would I want the player to have while they're you know exploring it. Every time I'd send those art assets off to him to have a look at, and then like the sounds that he would pair with it and the music that he'd pair with it, I'm just like, yeah, that's exactly it. Like that's what I was wanting to evoke, and you've totally just hit the nail on the head. And your contribution and your audio is evoking that even more, and
Mhm.
even to a higher degree. Um, because even if you removed the art itself, you would still have that same reaction just to the sound and to the music. So yeah, really, really intelligent design on that. So that's something that I've always really appreciated in the game too. Is that pairing worked out
Hmm.
great, and it's like, yeah, this is good. This is fun stuff. So I'm really happy that you had that Super Metroid nostalgia thing. I'll be
Yeah.
sure to mention it to him because yeah, actually everybody on the team is gonna get a kick out of that. So
I say I have it bought and I have it installed. It's ready to go. I was showing it to my wife and I was trying to get her like, I'm like, hey, it's kind of like a little bit like Firewatch. It's really story heavy. It's gonna be cool. Didn't
yeah,
didn't seem to initially take the bait, but I'm gonna try to. I'm still gonna
fair
try to
enough.
bring her through it. We'll see how it. She was she was
Yeah,
she was interested in the graphics. She was like, is this like an old game? Is this like?
nice. That's good.
Yeah, it's like that's kind of like that's the aesthetic certainly. So
Yeah.
you're not wrong.
No.
But so I'm still curious if we can play through that together because that'd be the second one after Firewatch, and that first experiment went so well. So I'd be curious to see it.
Hmm. Yeah, no,
So
I'm still waiting to like wife and I are looking to. Oh, sorry, a second.
Oh no.
we haven't had one of those in a long time.
Mm.
I think Mama's on it. A second.
It's always
Anyways,
those wake ups. Yeah.
Yeah, man, we had a couple because he does great. He's a great sleeper now, and he's even been trained. So now we just kind of flop him down and say goodnight, and he kind of just he's in the routine now. He's like, oh, okay, I guess I sleep now. And you're like, yes, yes, baby.
Do you watch old episodes where you were like tearing your hair out? Be like,
Oh,
he's
so
not
tired.
sleeping. I don't know what's going on. And Gavin would just sit there and he's like, yeah, my arm's
Yeah, Gavin's like, ah.
ours just goes right down. I don't know what you're doing wrong, Trevor. I don't know.
Man, I get like slightly defensive about it too, because I'll tell people about it, like, oh, he goes to bed now at about 6:37. He wakes up about 6. Like, oh, you're so lucky. I'm like, no, I earned this. Okay, you don't know what it was like. Okay, you don't understand what we went through to
See
get
these
to
gray
this.
hairs?
yeah.
I used to be blonde, and I used to be down to my back.
Play Hearthstone a lot. Like a lot.
I was thinking of that game the other day. No desire to go back.
Well, you've associated with those memories too, right? So that's probably working against it.
That night, and there's some nights where actually I was holding him because a lot of times, man, there's so many nights when I literally just held him for 2 hours while he slept. There's also to give like my wife a break, so she was sleeping. I'm kind of with him anyways, and if I transfer him, good chance nothing's gonna happen. So I just had him in my arm, and the other hand has Hearthstone rocking on my phone. I'm just trying to play along. The worst part is like when he'd wake up like halfway through a match. I'm like, oh no, oh boy, oh no.
Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Just like close the eyelids.
Must finish game. Oh yeah, but every now and then he'll do a super rarely, but he'll wake up at 3 and just be just bright-eyed, ready to go, and he won't go to sleep for like 2 hours. So it's just like this weird 2 hour. Yeah.
It's not even like a sympathy vote over here. It's just, mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're just chuckling. Oh, I think we're losing Gavin. So let that ring true for a second for all the dads out there.
I don't think they want to hear it though. That's a lot of screaming.
That's why we escape back here. So Jeff, in the meantime, I can ask: did you, besides Alone with You, did you dip into any other games?
I'm back on Witcher 3 because I have to complete it.
Yeah,
Have to.
Oh, you didn't beat it. Okay.
Not yet. I haven't. I'm not gonna do the expansions. There's expansions I'm not gonna bother. I need to complete this and be done with my life.
You need that closure.
I do. So
So how
nothing
far
new
out-
from me.
So
Well,
you-
you don't know how far you are in the game because quests keep popping up. It's like Skyrim and Fallout. It's just quests upon quests, and they begat other quests. You have no
Like-
idea where the string ends.
mandatory or like just
No,
could
but
be mandatory?
you're going to a mandatory quest, and you'll overhear like a person talking, and all of a sudden there's a exclamation mark saying, "Hey, you can do this optional quest like right now," and you're like, Okay. It only take me 5 minutes, and then no, it doesn't. It goes on. Again, the storytelling is great in it, so you get sucked in. But I need to finish it. It's like a book.
Man, it's like so. Like
Need.
I'm so tempted to try that one. Shadows of Mordor. Um, Gavin's Game of Mad Max. There's those three like decent sized games that I'm just looking at them like, God, that's so.
Try those
Especially
ones.
especially Witcher is just like that is gonna
No,
just.
it's so many hours. It is at least with the other ones, it's almost like a finite end. So it's an open world, but you know where the end is. Where this one, you have no clue.
No, because we were going
It's
to
hundreds of hours later.
yeah, because man, I was thinking about Fallout the other day, and I'm like, wow,
Yeah, and you got that one.
I played that a bunch. I had a great time with it, but like I'm nowhere even close. I didn't even make it to
Yeah.
Diamond City. Like within all the with all the hours I put into it,
Wow.
because I just kept finding stuff, and I just
Exactly. That's the problem. It's like your Batman syndrome where you have to complete all the little side quests.
oh, another game I never beat. And I dipped into that again. I got back
Maybe,
into it. I'm like, okay, I'll just like I'll just like dip in, and
but
then
maybe.
I fought Bane, and I fought the Joker, and then the game wasn't over. It kept, oh come on, like I did it. I did all you wanted. What do you mean I had to keep running around?
But this is probably why a game like No Man's Sky is perfect for you, right?
Ah,
Like
I see.
there's no little quest markers. It's kind of like on your own terms, right?
Yeah, yeah. There's nothing. There's nothing in the game. Like,
Right. There you go.
there's nothing to do.
Zero. There you go.
And yeah, I just like I hate to rely on a internet trope to defile the internet, but it's just like because of the internet, we're not allowed to have nice things anymore. Like it's because even I wish I'd never seen anything about it. Like I just
Mm.
got the game. Like as in I wish I got hyped. I wish
Yeah.
I was excited and it was delivered to me and I was playing it and I love it. And I'm just like now I'm happy. I'm in my
Yeah.
happy place. I'm having a great time. Still having an excellent time with it. Love the game. But just like you can't if you read anything about it, like it's hard not to be affected in some way by the negativity around it. Like you just want to kind of shake some people and say like why are you so angry about this thing? Like I don't even want to get into there's particular debates around people saying like you don't get it. And I don't know that that's fair. Like listen, if you're playing it and you don't like it, man, Bob's your uncle. You got like that's your thing. That's your prerogative. I don't mind it as much, but just
Yeah.
like it bothers you a bit because they're just it's like oh you can't do this. And you're like that's not what this game's about. Like it's not what this is supposed to be. Like what I don't know why you get to complain about that, but fine, get out there. But man, it's just so yeah to
You know
see
what?
that wash the negativity and just like the fact that it can't be it can't be a matter of you know what I tried it I didn't like it bless you all have a great time but I'm gonna get out of here like it has to instead be just this snowball of rage that keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger until that's the story right like the story this week is uh, huge player drop off of people playing it which again, that was a little bit clickbaity because Grand Theft Auto 5 had the exact same drop-off rate within its second week.
Well, yeah, because they're measuring peak to valley for
Yeah,
one, right? And then, yeah, any new game is going to not have the same player
yeah.
base at once playing it.
And then there's other stores where it's like Steam and PlayStation are offering some
Yeah,
discount, like
refunds.
refunds, and that just becomes a story, and you're just wondering, is that like how much of a minority is it? Is it really? Is it a decent number of people? Is it any kind of majority? Are we talking like 10% of the player base, like 70%? Like what's the numbers on it? But either way, it just eventually starts to seep into my happy galaxy.
This is where you need your VR to like just
Just shut
totally
up.
shut off the world. But you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Destiny. Because
Mhm.
in my, like, that was last year's No Man's Sky to me is like the Destiny, where Destiny was promised to be this huge, expansive world, and it wasn't that at first, and a lot of people got upset. But then they patched a lot of it together and developed the game that they wanted to launch with, right? I just don't think Sean Murray should ever speak.
Yeah.
He needs a PR man because he's like an engineer, right? He'll just promise the world because that's what he wants it to be.
Yeah,
But
I
the
think
game's not there yet.
the difference is like he's kind of being, and it ends up being an interesting character. And again, that's just part of the thing that like poisons in its entirety is like the hatred towards him, and he's a liar, he's a thief, like he's a snake oil salesman, and it's just
Well, he didn't
nothing.
speak. Like I think that's the problem. He hasn't spoken yet, right? He's kind of like, I don't know, in a bunker.
Well, now he is but that's what everyone said he should do, right? So you just said yourself like he should have a PR and he
He
should
should. He
speak.
should. Yeah.
Now he's not, and you're angry at him.
Well,
Oh, you see, you're in the internet.
dude's been hung out to dry. You want to say something?
Yeah, but I just think about like the thought that he went all these places and said, if you end up on the same planet as somebody else,
Yeah.
you'll be able to see and interact, but it's super rare. Ha ha ha, suckers. That's a lie. I sold you. As opposed to there is a game-breaking bug that he didn't think the numbers would actually work out. He didn't figure somebody would actually see each other, or like they weren't able to, whatever. Like, I just don't think it was like an absolute like, hey Sean, could people actually see each other? No, but I'm going to tell people that. Ha 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 ha. Like like twisting his little mustache in an in an evil maniacal manner.
In his plaid shirt.
And that's like, and I can't obviously like I don't know, like I can't vouch for him personally because I don't know the man, but just nothing about how it came about seems to me like they were trying to missell it. And I'm telling you, like, and my review when I first got to play it was, I can't believe it. They gave me the game they showed me this entire time, and I was so happy. And in some ways, it's just kind of like people thrust upon it so many of their own presumptions, and that's been like the bigger discussion is like was the hype train out of control? Were they irresponsible in allowing it to go so out of control? And I'm sure I think that's part of the conversation certainly, but man, that's
where you need PR though, right? Control the story, manage expectations, don't let it kind of go off in its own way.
And I saw this comment, like I saw a comment that really bothered me where
yes. We talked to Gavin about, taking out like a true silver sword and like slaying all these negative people.
It's more just like saddened, and I think if anything else, like, this is all just saddening me. It's definitely no rage, just like I'm sad about it. And somebody said, "Oh, thank God I read this. It's on Reddit, which is really devolved." But this says like, thank God I saw this Reddit because now I know not to buy the game. And it's just like how sad is that? Because maybe you would be like me, like myself, like a really good friend of mine that also was super excited for it. Like he's absolutely loving it. Like I'm absolutely loving it. And there's a good section of people who are really all about this game. And this guy might have also liked it, but it's just he's got now wrapped up into that negative cycle, and maybe they're missing out. And it's just how this whole thing has come about is just saddening in some ways ultimately. Like, and it's not because they're dishing on a game that I love, because I still love it. Like, I'll probably be playing it tonight. check my PlayStation account.
I know you will. It's Trevor playing No Man's Sky. And yeah, it's with any game, right? Like, I don't know.
I just wonder if it'll balance itself out. And a couple of patches, a couple new features. Those who get, like, in some tiny ways too, people who want the refunds, like, good riddance. Like, there's some small part of me that kind of hopes and assumes that they'll maybe buy it again. Because I wonder if there's like a similar cycle with Destiny. I don't think. Destiny was also for PC, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, it launched a very shallow game, I will say. Like, it was a grind fest, right? And people could break it. There were game-breaking bugs. It was a mess. And then features were added, and I think one DLC came in maybe 6 months later that totally made it the game that they needed it to be, right? Because it was touted as this story-driven multiplayer world, and it had very little of that. So I think if people treated this as kind of almost like a release like where Minecraft was, where it started out as this kind of sandbox game, and then it grew, right? With every iteration and patch and, free DLC added to it, it grew into this huge thing that people could play with. And it was, like, well supported. which I could see this game doing. Like all the foundations there, they just need more time with it, and maybe Sony pushed them to the door, because they're the publishers or supporters of it, right? So they needed it out probably before the Neo is going to be launched. So they needed it like now. So maybe that was the problem too, and he can't say anything about that. So maybe he's backed into a corner too.
Yeah, and the pricing was a bit weird. Like I think there's certain expectations when you launch it for the $60 or $70 of the AAA title for it to
Yeah,
have.
I kind of go back and forth on that too, because like it's hard to compare one game to another. Like I can compare, $60 games, so Witcher to No Man's Sky. Well, I'm not going to do that. They're completely different games. One guy, spent well, it was still 3 years of development, and there's a lot of work in it, and a lot of assets, and a lot of time spent. So I can see $60, and maybe a lot of people will wait until the discount, but that's on them. A lot of people do that. But I don't know. I go back and forth on that. Like if it launched at a $20 title, people would be all over it. They wouldn't care. But
Hmm. Yeah,
I don't know.
this feeds into it along with the hype cycle. Yes,
Well,
I don't get.
now you're on the hate train, right?
Yeah, yeah. Now I hate this game.
Yeah.
No, like I said, I just wish
Uh-oh.
I wish I was never part of the subreddit. I wish I'd never read anything about it in the sense because it's just because I'm going to continue enjoying it and it doesn't taint my opinion of it. Of I think it's excellent. Like it's a great adventure. Like I'm really having fun with it. I'm excited to see what the future holds with the DLCs and such. But yeah, just to know that that exists and that there's that kind of angles on it which I don't necessarily. It's not so much because they're dissenting or it's like we have a different opinion. It's just it feels like it's opinions that are steeped in mob mentality hate.
Yeah.
And
Pile on.
yeah,
There's still hope. There's still hope. Final Fantasy 15 is launching, so
man, I gotta get that demo because I gotta see what you like. Gotta see what that hate was all about.
horrible.
You hated it. That's what I gotta check it
So
out for.
bad. It was so bad.
But
It'll
if it's
be
anything,
fine. It'll
if
be
it's
my
anything like side launch, I'm gonna love it. And you're
No, it's bad. It's horrible.
unlike side launch. You're right. Yeah, I
No.
don't, Gavin. I don't, Gavin. If you followed any of it, if you have any thoughts or opinions on this backlash.
Um, I think the backlash is a little harsh. At the end of the day, it is just a game. Um, I agree with there wasn't really enough effort put out to sort of, you know, pump the brakes on the hype train. They sort of, I think, as a marketing ploy, let it get out of hand. Um, and rather than like correcting people's assumptions to keep them from having the wrong impression of what it might be, they just let their imaginations run wild because they knew that that was going to, do its thing. Um, so I think there could have been, it might have been good for people to be told to keep like their, have some sort of grounded expectation or something like that. Maybe I don't know. But even then, like people's anticipation of things and what reality is, like if a human adult or even a human being can't deal with something as simple as disappointment, then that's on them. If they didn't like how it turned out, if it wasn't what they were hoping for, then that's too bad. But like that's what happens when you buy a game and like it doesn't turn out to be the one you wanted. The other thing too is that we have people who are just they will pre-order something without taking the time to think about whether they want it, or to let it be revealed in its full final form. They will put their money down and make a gamble, and then they'll blame the house when they lose. And it's like, well, rather than you putting $80 down on, don't put 80 on black before they even throw the ball into the roulette wheel. Like, maybe why don't you sit back? Because guess what? With video games, you don't have to gamble. You can wait. You can trust the opinion of reviewers and journalists if you don't fully, um, if you're not like all in when it comes to a particular developer. But at the end of the day, like if something doesn't fully meet your expectations, it's not the developer's fault that like they can't make everybody happy. So like you got to kind of get over it. You could have maybe waited. It's not like these are like collector's editions that are going to sell out. It's a digital download. Like there is a unlimited supply.
Mhm.
You're not going to miss the boat. So if you think that there's any chance of you being disappointed on it, and if you're not emotionally uh, grounded enough to take disappointment on the chin, then maybe hold off on buying something until you assess it. Like, yeah, the
That's
price
way
point.
too level-headed and
Yeah, we
obvious.
are
That's
talking
way
about the
too
game.
mature for the internet,
Yeah,
Gavin.
so that's basically that's how I approach my game purchases. If there's a game that like I know I'm really gonna like, I'll pre-order it. Very seldomly, but I will. And sometimes that kind of turn around and bite me in the ass. But that, oh well, it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I haven't done like soup, man. I like probably like only 2 or 3 pre-orders ever, and this is one of them. But it's one of the videos I watched of him doing it, and the things that he was actually playing a build of it, which I can be deceiving, but that's a little bit better as opposed to like hype reel. Like it's actually like the developer with the controller,
yeah,
like okay, well I'm here
Mhm.
doing this thing, and he lands on a planet and he meanders over this way and he scans an animal and he zips over here and he learns a piece of a language and a little bit of lore for the stuff that happened and he mines a few things and he crafts this one thing and he zips off to this other. I'm just like that's yeah,
yeah,
and that's what I bought and that's what I've been doing and that's what I've been loving.
exactly.
Um,
Not enough
yeah,
people watched that sort of footage. Instead, they looked at a beautifully manicured trailer, and you know, it eventually just sort of everyone was expecting the trailer to manifest itself and all these little things that they alluded to, but um, look, unless you see it happening, it might not happen. And the same thing happened with Suicide Squad this year. Like, it's a movie where they did a trailer for it. The trailer was well received, but the editing in the trailer changed what the actual end product was going to be because the trailer did not actually represent what the director was making. But the trailer got really popular, so the studio had the director redo the movie to match the hype, and it made for a lesser product. So at the end of the day, they could have tried to make No Man's Sky do everything that it was supposed to, but that would have probably broken the game beyond any playable build. Like, yeah, sure, there's still a lot of bugs and issues with the game, but it's a pretty ambitious endeavor, so fair enough. And if you can't stand having bugs in video games, don't pre-order video games. Um, like, wait till it comes out and figure out
yeah.
if it's stable. Uh,
Or accept it, right? Like you
or just
pre-order,
accept
accept it.
bugs.
I think
Accept
I've done two.
bugs.
I've done Uncharted 4 and Grand Theft Auto 5. I think those are the last two in like the last 4 years that I've pre-ordered by
Yes.
studios that I trust, right? So if it turns out to be
Yeah, like
crap,
Uncharted's 3 for 3 at that point. So you're like,
yeah. So I'm like, it's probably gonna be at least average and above, like
Yeah.
at least what I want. It might not deliver everything I want, but I'm gonna have a good time with it, right? And Grand Theft Auto 5, it's like, well, I came from 4. It's a good sandbox game. If I don't like the story, which I really didn't, I could go around and do my own thing. So I had fun with it, and that's I
Yeah.
think again, No Man's Sky. Like you could take the path to get to the center, or you can kind of bum around from each planet and
oh man, I'm nowhere close to the center. I'm
I
so
wouldn't doubt it.
bottom.
Your play style,
Really,
I don't know. You're on the
man,
outer
so
limits. Somehow you went backwards. I don't know.
yeah, man, I had this great grind where it's you to get a bigger ship with bigger inventory, and it's cool looking ships too. Every time it's different, but you can either just have a ton of money, so you grind it out, you mine and you sell, you mine and you sell, then you go off that way, or you can kind of hunt down distress signals of crashed ships. And I've just been jumping to all these galaxies and going to different planets and finding like all of them. And I went from a like 20 slot ship to a 42 slot ship now, and the thing looks awesome. But it's just the entire every time you land, like it tells you a little story about how the guy happened, and to get there you gotta like hop through about 2 or 3 steps, and in so doing you're flying over the planet, so you're finding a few of the um, monuments and learning more about the culture. It's like the story of there's just some part of me too when I'm reading some of these guys not liking it. It's like, have you read like the story of like the three space races that are in it? Like it's pretty sweet. Like it's a cool story.
People don't
Like
read. Come
You don't
on.
read.
They see the trailer. I want that. They play it. I didn't get
yeah,
that.
but it feels unfair. We're just like, man, there's no depth to this. I'm like, did you read anything?
No, then
Like you're not full.
there's no
Because it just
way.
changes. Yeah, fine, I get it. Anyways, but that grind was just like, oh man. Like, so I'm at a place now. Like I finished, I got the ship that I wanted, and oh, that was so phenomenal. As far as like just a great experience of like grinding through and like finding something to do. And now I get to just completely change play style and start to zip around, see what's next. Which
Nice.
maybe start to head to the middle. I don't know. Not really, not really focused on that.
Not going anywhere near the middle.
And there's one guy who spent. There's a story of the one guy who spent, I think it was like 30 hours on his first planet. Like you start on a planet and you got to fix your ship because it's crashed, and he just never left. He spent his first 30 in-game hours there, just like kicking around, having a great time. Oh man, so it's I don't well great way to summarize this. Have you guys changed your last as of last podcast? What had you guys said about buying it? Do I recall that Gavin, you said you were thinking of buying it?
Yeah, I do want to play it, but right now, like my dance card's full. I got a few games that I want to finish, and it's like I could buy it now, but it's just gonna collect dust. So I might as well collect dust somewhere else until I get around to buying it.
Yeah.
Um,
The ideal will be a couple patches then by two.
and that's
The
the
one
thing
the
too.
one patch sounds. He started talking about the freighter patch, where you could own it as you're flying around in space. Like all of a sudden, like these 10 or so massive, huge ships will fly in. And like Jeff, think of the ones in Eve Valkyrie when you're like kind of zipping around, just huge, and you can attack them actually and pirate them.
Die.
But anyways,
Oh.
if you're good, you don't die.
Gotcha.
Anyways, there's apparently this patch in the eventually you'll be able to own one of those things, and then be able to have like multiple ships in that one. So you're gonna like come into the galaxy in this huge freighter, like kick around, do whatever you want to do, but then choose one of your tiny ships, hop in and zip out to like the planet,
Yeah,
or
like
like some.
like a mobile garage in like Grand Theft Auto, right? You have your own
Yeah.
little starship. Yeah,
See,
that's more like it, right?
the
Like
only thing deterring me from No Man's Sky isn't the whole hullabaloo about people not liking it and whatnot. It's having a better understanding of the amount of inventory and resource management that the
Mm.
game requires. Because like those things are fun, but I'm finding myself because of my limited game time now, those aspects less and less appealing. Like even in a game like Fallout, where I used to happily just trudge through my inventory and figure all that stuff out, I'm finding it more and more inconvenient because then like I'll look at how much time I have, and then I see that and I'm just like, okay, well, you know, if I'm gonna do chores, I got plenty around the house. Um, so that's the only thing that sort of, and it's not much a matter of like a judgment on the quality of the game. It's the same reason why like Destiny didn't gel with me. Like it looks like an amazing game, and I'm sure maybe even a few years back I would have totally been all over it. But the how I like to spend my time gaming is starting to shift. And it's not just because I'm busy. Like it's just like my tastes in games are starting to shift, and grinding isn't really something that lures me as much as it did. Um, but I definitely want to play the game strictly for the exploration factor. Less about the main mechanics of like shoot rocks, collect resource, build ship. Shoot rocks, collect resource, build ship. Um, which honestly, like I could see that appeal because it was the same reason I loved Borderlands, which is shoot bandits, get bigger guns, shoot bandits, get bigger guns. Um, and I've played that game multiple playthroughs. So there was a point in time where that sort of mechanic really appealed to me, but I'm finding, at least right now, it's not really one that lures me as much. But the exploration factor and just even just to play it and check out a half dozen planets, I'm like, yeah, I'd do that. I'm gonna wait for things to sort of settle a little bit. Um, also mostly because I just want to finish playing my games. Mad Max, by the way, is amazing. Um, I'm really enjoying that, and like that has some minor grinding to it as well, but I'm finding less repetition in it because the variety of different things you can do to grind are very diverse. So it's not just about like fetch missions or this or that. Like there's, you can clear out a bandit camp or you can take out a convoy, and it's like all these different sort of things to try to like lower the threat level in a territory, which unlocks new things for your car and that sort of RPG grind growth in it. The objectives that you have to complete are nice and varied, so I find I don't feel that repetition bearing down on me. So yeah, I've been really enjoying Mad Max. I really want to dig into Uncharted 4. I think once those two are kind of cleared, I'll probably look into some No Man's Sky. It might not be till Christmas, but I definitely want to check it out. I don't know, Jeff. What are your thoughts?
No. I don't know. It's not a game for me.
Yeah.
Um, it looks neat. I must say it looks neat. I've always been kind of drawn to what's the other space sim on PC that Trev you got?
Elite Dangerous.
Yeah, I never had something to run that kind of game, but just to float through space and kind
Yeah.
of discover your own, feel your own aloneness in the
Yeah.
majority of
Yeah,
the
yeah. No,
solar system.
I've been feeling a pull back to Elite Dangerous too. That
It's
game's
just
also fantastic, but it's just like I can't exist in two infinite universes.
no,
Like,
I can see that. But it's I kind of I like Flower and Journey, and they were kind of good chill out games. So I can see it as that. If it was, I don't want to play the price point game, but if it was, a little bit cheaper, then maybe I would do it for a chill out game.
Well,
Even let the
but that's
kids
the thing
play
is
it.
like you want to buy it as a chill game. So like to spend $80 on a chill game, that's a
Yeah,
lot. That's the
yeah,
same reason why Flower wasn't price pointed at $80.
yeah,
But and like with a game like No Man's Sky, it's so multifaceted that somebody like Trevor, who really sinks his teeth into other aspects of the game, in every aspect that the game has to offer, really gets their money's worth.
yeah,
But for like Jeff or myself, that price point doesn't really work for us because there's a significant part of the gameplay mechanics that aren't really for us, but don't necessarily need to be played for us to derive enjoyment. So I could see how a lot of people will hop onto the game once the price point hits to a spot where they're like, yeah, because I'll pay that much to explore 4 or 5 planets and then call it a day. Like, I'm not looking to map the entire universe or find the center of it. I just want to fly around a bit and see some dinosaurs, and that's about it. So yeah, I could see how there might be a spike in user, but yeah, I just like Jeff's bluntness of it all.
just trying to be straight with you.
Well, nope.
yeah. But I'd be curious to. I mean, I'm going to be curious to watch it. I hope that the current. I'm really hopeful that the current rage calms. The developers come around and get a couple good patches to fix some of the issues, and ideally a couple extra features, and then at some point like a price drop, maybe 30-40 bucks, and then
Yeah.
the universe is beautiful again.
Honestly, like I've been seeing a lot. Okay, like my Twitter feed is filled with people enjoying it, and the news feeds are filled with people not enjoying it. So I have a feeling that a lot of this is the same as the hype machine that sold the game.
Yeah.
It's a hype machine that's selling ad space on blogs because the news blogs know that
Yeah, majority of players enjoy game. Does not
it does not.
doesn't
Yeah,
produce a lot of clicks.
exactly. So I think a lot of this is just pure clickbait, just typical bleed it leads sort of news mentality. And right now, like No Man's Sky is kind of the game industry whipping boy, and everybody's having at him, and it's like, okay, well, yeah, but there's a lot of people out there who aren't saying anything because they're too busy playing the game and having
Yeah.
fun. And even the
Yeah.
ones who are playing it and just seeing like these nightmare fuel horrible monstrosities of creatures and planets that just are not really appealing. but they're the fun little happy accidents that a game like this will produce. So if anything, people are finding these oddities, and they're almost like these fun little mutations that everybody's noting. But that's what's fun about it, and that's what's fun and interesting about this game. And I have to give it that, at least, is that like this game is challenging a lot of conventions when it comes to games, like very manicured experiences, and this game's kind of like a very organic experience. So it's interesting to see an industry and a user base react to something that isn't as polished and shined and manicured for their specific enjoyment. And I think we're seeing a lot of like pullback of people who are used to like a Call of Duty or a Halo or Assassin's Creed or something. Not that there's anything wrong with those games, but they are very targeted to specific audiences and designed to appeal to those audiences, because that's the point. Like, you make something for an audience and you keep that audience in mind and you want them to enjoy it. But like with No Man's Sky, it was, I think, exploring other things itself and trying to become like a game that builds itself in a way. And that, I think a lot of people are freaking out in the sense of like, well, it didn't make the thing I wanted to make. And it's like, the developers are like, yeah, but it's procedural, guys. Like, we didn't, like, sorry you didn't like the dinosaur on that planet, but it's procedural. Like, the animal on that planet looked weird because that's what the code did. Like, sorry you found a weird walrus, but, just have your mom make you some milk and cookies and you'll be fine.
It should go a step further, and the computer should like access your Facebook and Twitter and like your internet history, and then build those planets.
Oh god.
There we go. Just metadata collect on you.
Yeah, because then people can't say anything.
Yeah, exactly. Although, knowing the vast majority of the people who are probably complaining about this game on the internet, if
I don't want
they
to see
were
those
basing the
planets.
planets on their search history, just saying,
What's with the what's
I don't want to visit those planets. Not at least.
this universe
like,
is
3 layers of
you.
space.
What don't you understand? I withdraw my complaint. Jen, shall we switch to our beers and call this a wrap?
I think that's a good idea.
Great. So yes, I just went totally off the cuff. I was a little bit late picking up anything, so just had to pick up something. And as I tend to do, it's always like a really cool looking can, like that. No worry for the taste of it. Just like, oh, that one looks neat.
That's
pretty. And it worked out. It worked out for me. So this thing, never heard it before. It's a Blythe Brewing Co. Cowbell. Absent Landlord.
Okay.
Absinthe.
Not the beer.
Yeah.
Absinthe Landlord. Yeah. So
Wow.
because the story of it is, it's founded in 1851 as Drummond. The town was renamed after a wealthy landowner in Berkshire, England, who bought the entire town of Blythe, sight unseen, in 1855. Henry Blythe Esquire never made the ocean voyage to visit his namesake. So this British Esquire bought an entire Ontario town, never saw it in his entire life, and now it's just named after him. Anyway, so they decided to produce beer. and this one's called Absent Landlord, so that's just a riot.
That's great. Yeah.
Love that story.
That's a fun one.
So it's
Have you
like,
ever tried this Spitfire beer?
no, I hadn't.
That one's a good
Good.
one. I recommend it maybe for you to try next week. And it's actually named after the Spitfire aircraft from World War II. And there's a nice little bit of history behind, like, the beer was made in honor of that aircraft and its contribution to winning the war.
I think I said like in the aircraft. and I was gonna be like,
Yeah,
During that era, this was made.
yeah. You can test,
Yeah.
you can really taste the petrol and shell casings.
yeah, so so it's a country Kolsch, which I don't have much experience with, but delicious. It's a great, excellent beer. Like a lot of flavor to it, so definitely something you want to have like with a meal, not necessarily on a hot day, but after work, watching a movie with a meal. Like it's really delicious. Kind of the notes are pretty. I found the notes pretty accurate, if a little bit funny. Elegant yellow fruits. None of those paltry. Elegant yellow fruits. None of those
That's like
jerk.
everything from like banana to lemon,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of elegant.
mango,
I don't know that a banana is
pineapple.
elegant. Banana is kind of a commoner fruit, you know.
Yeah, you put a bow on it.
Touche.
Mm.
Floral and lemongrass, but yeah, it's certainly kind of a great flavor to it. Excellent beer. I would recommend it. So
I
that's Blythe
will.
Brewing Co. Cowbell, or maybe sorry, maybe it's Blythe Cow. The problem is like you're never quite sure how to read these logos.
Yeah.
So perhaps it's Blythe Cowbell Brewing Co. That sounds a bit better. Yeah, so I'm
You're
gonna go
going
with that.
into your design. You're like, where's the
Just read,
Yeah,
read.
what's the
visual
order of
hierarchy
reading
here?
this? The Blythe Cowbell Brewing Co. Absent Landlord, delicious.
Nice.
Okay. So Jeff, I saw your can.
Jeff's drinking a keg of Foster's.
I've got 2 beers,
Ozzy's favorite.
750 mils, Foster's can.
That's so
Feeling
big.
feeling great. It's
You
still
Yeah.
cold.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I saw this in the again the grocery store. Coming through for me. Not bad, 350. Get 2 beers. Why not? So yeah, I think everyone on the earth has tasted a Foster's. If you haven't, it tastes like
Beer.
any other beer. Like it's just its own
Beer.
lager. Yeah, it's good. Totally recommend the big can though, because it looks awesome.
I've been seeing
'Cause
some of
it's
these
just
novelty cans, and I might have to try one.
yeah. Oh, it's great. It's great drinking it because then you're just like, yeah, I'm not even done yet. I don't even have to go to the fridge. It's
Yeah.
perfect.
But do
I'm
you
a little
feel
bit
like
drunk.
It's a big gulp.
Yeah. There you go.
do you feel an obligation to get through it before it
Yes.
gets warm?
Yes. Because yeah,
So
if
like,
it's warm, it's down the drain. It's not.
yeah, exactly. So it's like you don't want it to go. It's
No.
almost like you need to get like one of those beer cozies, but you need like 1.5 to get around the can.
Yeah. Just wrap it in kind of some socks or something, but
Yeah,
as
yeah,
long as you don't hold it, you put it down. It's
yeah.
podcast for an hour. It's still cold. It's
It's a
good.
workout. You know, you're just like
There you
lifting it
go.
every time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beer and workout. Look at
It's all in one. All in
that.
one. Why do you think the Aussies are always so strapping?
But
That'd be,
perfect.
They don't fool around with their keg cans.
Gavin, yourself? Are you
This
drinking anything?
evening I decided to switch it up, and I went with some Stella, but there's a M Night twist here. Um, it's a Stella Cider.
They have a cider?
That was my reaction. I was walking and I'm like, all right, they have a cider.
Like, no. You clearly do not see the accent over the I. It is
Yeah.
a cider.
Cider. Say it right, Frenchie. Simpsons quote for you boys. Yeah, it's good. It's a nice cider. It's crisp. I would say it's more like a Royal Gala apple than a Granny Smith, just in like the type of apple flavor that you're getting from it.
See, now that's an elegant fruit, you see.
Yeah, it's a royal fruit.
Royal Gala. Ooh.
It's a royal party fruit.
Puff, puff,
No,
puff.
it's a nice cider. It's a really nice cider. I had it with a bit of ice, so mine's still a little cold as well. Yeah, if you're looking for a new cider, Stella's got you covered.
Wow.
She
That is
got
different. I've never heard of
cider
it.
season's kind of kicking in, kind of finishing off. Like it's weird. Like cider, like apples are a fall harvest,
Yeah.
but ciders I find are more of a summer beverage because of that crisp sort of sour tartness. It's like a hot weather beverage.
Yeah.
I find more like a mulled cider, like a proper, mulled cider with bourbon in it, like that sort of thing is more of a fall drink. Speaking of which, fall's coming up, which means fall type beers, like the nice meaty stick to your rib beers. Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Pumpkin spice.
Oh, none of that, Jeff.
Foster's
Oh.
Black. Can't
No,
wait.
no. I'm just talking about like nice oatmeal stouts and stuff. Yeah.
Oh,
It's
yes.
funny, when I get to the end of one season, I'm always craving like the foods and drinks of the next. So it's like when fall starts to roll around, I'm like, oh, roasted potatoes and stout. Just give it right now, all of it. I'm gonna roast some chicken.
The Irish.
Um,
You can't hide the Irish. Comes out.
Yeah, but and then yeah, like you have like the nice wintry foods, but then by the time winter's starting to finish, you're like, I just want some sun. I want sunshine. I want like salad. I don't know why, but I do. I want like avocado and like spicy, fun, citrusy meat kind of Tex-Mex
I
stuff.
just want a beer that's like light. Maybe a bit banana-y and got some cloves in there.
Nope.
Nobody wants that.
Nope.
Two out of three
Nope.
dads
It's
kind of
brewed in
wanted
like
it.
Collingwood area. I don't know. No.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if that's really an elegant fruit beer or not. It's a yellow can.
Most elegant of yellow fruits, I tell you.
Yeah.
My kid knows that too now. Dad, you don't like side launch?
What, he found out on the podcast?
Yeah.
You better hope he's not watching with what you said at the top.
No.
Better hope your son's not saying that in the sense of like, you don't like side launch? I love it.
It's one of my favorites. That's how I got through judo camp.
I tasted it. It's great.
Where do you think your unfinished ones go?
Yeah. Going licking the can.
Dad tip: always finish your beer.
Oh, the excellent. Jeez. Okay, so
Flubbed.
I would like to.
Yeah, it's just fun. I'm watching you do your finish, and it's always fun.
No, it's not. I'm trying to think about like Jeff. The deal that you found, does that last until next week? Because I'd like to save it.
What deal? Oh, for this?
No, just go ahead and say it. Costco and
Oh yeah. So Costco, PS Plus is going up to $70, September 22nd. Costco has them on $45.99, no tax, delivered by email code. You don't need a membership. It does not expire, so as long as they have stock, they have them. So they'll probably get stock in. They've been out a couple times, and then they keep getting them in until probably September 21st, and then Jack.
As of this afternoon, I was trying to think this afternoon. I did buy it. I bought it today. So at least at some point today it was in stock, based on your tip, actually.
Yeah, I bought 2 years and good till 2019. Here's hoping Sony doesn't go under.
Let's hope they still support PlayStation at that time.
We'll see. Yay. But
That's
anyway,
it.
yeah, just in case.
New dad tip: PlayStation Plus going up. Costco's got them digital sale. Very good. Go check them out. Great. Everybody, thank you so much yet again for listening. This has been New Dad Gaming. This is a podcast that we do weekly. If you'd like to get a hold of us, you can find us at our website, newdadgaming.com. You can send along any tips, tricks, or questions you'd like us to answer. We're also on Twitter and Facebook. You can subscribe to us through iTunes or Google Podcast Service or any other podcasting service out there. And rate, like, subscribe, spread it around. Everybody, until next week, thank you so much. My name is Trevor, and I have a 1-year-old.
My name is Gavin, and I have a 1-year-old.
And I'm Jeff, got a 3-year-old. 6-year-old is away.
Some kid might
He'll
show up
come
again.
back. It's okay.
I miss him. I
He'll be
love
back
him
next
and stuff. He's cool. He's the apple of my eye.
It's all right. Firstborn.
He came through. He broke us in, tore us down,
Yep.
ripped us apart down to our very fibers,
My baby.
redefining who we thought we were as people.
Ah, tired.
You drank a kegerator.
Yeah, done too. Look at that.
Good timing.
Let's go for another hour. I could use
Did you
another.
start that at the beginning of the podcast?
Yeah, yeah. So I nursed it for an hour. That's, well, 2 beers down in an hour. That's not too bad.
That's not too bad. That's pretty good.
Just chilling. I'll probably take a nap.
Nap
One of
at
those
10.
big long night naps.
Yeah.
When you wake up in the morning, nice refreshed.
Kids
Yeah.
crying. What? I can't hear it. That's
honey, please. Honey, get him.
Foster's. Give me another.
Yeah. Just console the one in the middle there, Jeff.
Great, guys. We'll see you next week.
See ya.
Bye.